G'day there, Dogman here. I've got a few spare minutes and I have been thinking and I have solved a puzzle. I'm going to prove to you using NASA science that the moon landings never happened. Okay? I'm going to use NASA science to a point where you will just go, that is the most ridiculous thing to think that the footage that we were shown was men actually on the moon. Okay, where shall I start? Okay, we'll start with the merry-go-round. Okay, remember when you were a kid in the playground and you were going round and round on the merry-go-round? The faster it went, the more you were likely to be flung off. The further to the edge you were, the stronger the force pushing you off. The closer you were to the center of the merry-go-round, the easier it was for you to stand and not be flung off. Okay? That's centrifugal force. But I'm going to refer to it as the merry-go-round force. Okay? Just so you can remember easily. Now, according to NASA science, okay, the Earth is spinning around the sun once a year. And the sun is 92 million miles or 93. They keep on changing it, but it's around 92 million miles from the Earth to the sun. And because we're going around to the other side, that means it's actually 184 million miles from one point to the other. We'll have traveled that distance in half a year. That's a lot of space travel. So the speed that we're actually flying through space is some astronomical speed. So I just looked it up. According to NASA science, the Earth is moving at 67,000 miles an hour around the sun. Okay? And the sun itself is moving at something like 500,000 miles an hour, almost 500,000 miles an hour, as it flies through the Milky Way. Now, what is powering this amazing speed as we travel round the sun at 67 times the speed of sound? It's the amazing, powerful, invisible force called gravity. Now, the sun's gravity, it's not sucking the Earth towards it as you would expect, but it's causing the Earth to spin around it at this phenomenal speed. You would think, if you just thought about it logically, you go, oh yeah, the Earth would just be meandering through space, right? No, it's not meandering. It's faster than you can even imagine. So not only are we traveling at 67,000 miles an hour through space, but the Earth is spinning, according to NASA science, at the equator. The speed is faster than the speed of sound. Okay, so you're looking at 1,000 plus miles per hour. But when you move north or south, the speed is less. So let's go back to the merry-go-round, right? When you're at the equator, that's when the Earth is trying to fling everything off. It's the strongest. You'd be flung out into space. The water on the ocean would be flung off. If you think of a tennis ball spinning with the water flying off it, it doesn't stick to it when it spins. It's flung off it. Okay, that's how physics works. But it doesn't happen in this case because of gravity. You guessed it, gravity. The mysterious, invisible, powerful gravity. And this gravity seems to adjust for the Earth's spin. So when you're at the equator, you don't feel like you're flying off into space anymore, like being flung away. You're being held into place. The oceans, the lakes, everything's being held into place by this gravity. All right. Now, if you go to the North Pole, there's hardly any centrifugal force or merry-go-round force, okay? And the gravity knows that, so it's not pulling on you so much. So you can't tell the difference whether you go to the North Pole or the equator, you feel just the same, okay? That's the amazing thing about gravity. So here's where the moon landings fall apart. They didn't think it through. You see, let's imagine you have a basketball spinning and you just try and drop a model spaceship on top of that spinning basketball. What's going to happen? It doesn't stick to it. It doesn't just stay on it. It gets flown away. So when the spaceship lands on the moon, there's nothing holding it there but weak gravity. Remember the people, they show them jumping up and down like they're in slow motion, and they can jump really high because they say there's 1/3 gravity on the moon because it's a smaller mass. So there's not as much gravity. So if there's not as much gravity, how is everything not being flung off into space? When they kick some dust up, it should be getting flung off into the vacuum of space. It would have been more realistic if they landed and these big clamps clamped it down solid, and when they came out of the ship, they were tethered and they were like flying, like someone, being dragged behind an aeroplane. See? NASA's own stories don't even make sense. Come on, prove me wrong. Explain that with science. Explain it. Explain why the merry-go-round effect, why centrifugal force why does gravity somehow operate differently on the moon than it does on Earth, according to different rules? It should be the same rules. Yes, it's weaker. So if it's weaker, a man's mass that's being held, on Earth and not being flung off into space by gravity, but that gravity's weaker. So everything should be flying off into space. I'll leave that with you.